As we discovered in a previous video, fatiguing hands and arms is a common problem that many track riders face. Another common problem that causes issues for those same riders is leg fatigue and achy knees, where they struggle to make it to the end of a session before their legs are knackered or in some cases in pain. In this video, we're going to go over the most common causes of this problem and how you can begin to alleviate it. Riders that suffer from this sort of problem will find that they struggle to make it to the end of a session before they get the feeling that their legs have completely given up. As a result, movement around the bike becomes difficult and sloppy. When this happens, it then makes it difficult to correctly do your job on the bike, both in terms of the positions you're able to get into, as well as being able to affect the stability of the bike as little as possible. But while the two issues of fatiguing legs and achy knees may seem like two distinctly different feelings, they are in fact brought on by the same cause: too much strain on the inside leg mid-corner. But what exactly causes that strain on the inside leg? Well, if you've watched any of my previous videos relating to body position, you would have heard me comment on more than one occasion that it's important that we create good attachment with the outside leg. You also would have learned that if we don't have that attachment, we'll find that we become too tense on the bars, particularly the inside one. However, even if you're trying to hold on with the legs to remove that tension from the arms and hands, if your lower body isn't in an ideal position, then you'll find that a lot of the support and strain will be taken by that inside leg. Now, as you move your upper body weight to the inside of the bike for the corner, you're naturally going to be putting some weight on that inside peg because the majority of your weight is over it. But if your body position is poor, it becomes excessive. What I mean is that you end up pressing down too hard on that inside peg to support your body through every corner as you work to free up your arms. And in some of those longer corners, you'll be doing this for multiple seconds at a time. Add all that time up over a 20-minute sessions and your legs, particularly your quads, have got a serious workout. This will mean that your legs get tired very quickly and your knees may start to ache too. But if you're experiencing similar problems, you more than likely only need to look at one thing: where you sit on the seat. Now, there are two factors to seating position that will contribute to a lack of good outer leg attachment. The first is how far off the seat you slide. When you start moving farther and farther off the seat, your outside leg starts to lose more and more contact with the tank. Not only that, but the point where your tank meets the outside leg changes too. This means that as you move farther off, maintaining a good, solid outside leg anchor point becomes more difficult, and if the muscles in that leg aren't up to the challenge of anchoring in that position, your weight and strain will default to the inside leg. I've advised in the past that your seating position should be somewhere between 1/2 to 1 whole cheek off the seat. If you're struggling with inside leg strain, one of your first things to check would be to assess how far off the seat you're sliding. Next, how far away from the tank you sit. A very similar issue is raised when you begin to move farther back from the tank than is necessary. And this is actually something I struggled with in the past, and it came from my desire to not sit too close to the tank. Because I was sitting too far back in the seat, the point at which my knee met the tank was quite far away from my groin, essentially creating a greater leverage which I had to overcome in order to successfully use the tank for support. What I eventually discovered is that if I don't slide so far back from the tank when cornering, because the contact point wasn't so far down my leg, I didn't need to work as hard to use that outside leg for that support. Now, I'm sure at this point there's a few voices out there saying, but MotoGP riders do this. In recent years, there have been more and more riders that hang off the bike a ridiculous amount. Now, it obviously works for them, otherwise they wouldn't do it, Mr. Marquez being a prime example. As a result, riders look at these guys and they want to mimic them. But it isn't just as simple as saying, well, Marquez hangs off this much and is uber fast, therefore it must be correct. Yes, his style allows him to extract the most he can from his machine, but does it mean you'll be able to extract the most from yours by doing it? Not necessarily. His bike is worlds away from what you and I will ever ride, and he is able to reach lean angles we can only dream of. Not to mention it's also tailored to allow him to ride the way he wants to. On top of all that, throw in an extraordinary rider with fitness levels through the roof and you have a recipe that allows that style to work over prolonged periods of time. And one thing's for certain, You can be damn sure the guy isn't solely hanging onto the bars to support himself. Even with his extreme lower body position, his stability is there. If you can't remain stable while trying to hang off like that, then that style isn't correct for you. Besides, not all riders at the highest level ride that way. Just have a look at Mr. Tidy and Consistent, Jorge Lorenzo. He has a much more conservative seating position and what I believe is a stronger connection with his outside leg. And this is yet another indicator that riding styles differ from person to person and bike to bike. While there are best practices, when you get into the finer details of body position, it's about finding what works for you and what allows you to give the bike what it wants, not simply copying what's working for someone else and what makes you look good in pictures. If leg fatigue and achy knees is a real problem for you, take note of where the pressure points are coming from. A small change to your seating position for a better lower body setup could make all the difference for you. Have you had issues with seating position and overstressing your legs? Tell us about it in the comments down below. And as always, if you like the video, then please hit the button and subscribe to the channel for more performance riding advice and guides moving forward. Take care.